The Power Moms Network, empowering moms to lift the world.
Welcome. I'm Riley Karsh.
I'm Tova Kopan.
We are thrilled to bring you the We Go Boldly podcast.
Let's talk big burning questions, life changes, and maybe a bit of personal business.
Let's be bold and brave together. Are you ready?
I am. Here comes the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to We Go Boldly, the podcast, where we celebrate women stepping into their power and living their most authentic lives. We are also thrilled to be a part of the Power Moms Network. At Power Moms Network, we are empowering moms to mentor other moms and create a beautiful network of mothers coming together and celebrating their own power, which is fantastic. So check it out. Join us over there. As I always do, I want to remind you guys, we have our weekly women's circle. It is, I say this every week because it's the truth. It is one of my favorite places to be. We would love for you to join us. It really makes my week better. We want to make your weeks better. If you want to dive more into what we talk about in the podcast, if you want to get some support, if you need a place to vent where you won't be judged, join us there. You can find out more about it at goboldlyinitiative.com/weekly circle. I think that covers everything. I'm going to say hello to Tova and get her on the show. We're talking all about writing your own story, and I'm gonna do a little different today, Tova. How's your story going? What's happening?
I am in an interesting chapter of my story. It is, I'm hoping that this chapter is actually not even noticeable enough to like get written about in the future. I'm
Yeah,
hoping
like
it's
this one gets edited out because it's not
yeah,
exciting enough.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I would very much like that. But I am meditating every morning,
That's
and
amazing.
thanks to the women's circle.
Yeah.
So honestly, I was like, I gotta not listen to political podcasts when I walk my dog first thing in the morning. I gotta do something else. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say maybe that can be part of what's happening in my current story that I want to focus on, not this particular week.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think that's such a great point. And before I introduce our guest, I want to like talk about that for a second, and that stories are meant to be long. It's, it's that whole, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? Like
Mm.
these things come into our lives that are hard. They come into the good things come, neutral things come, whatever. Life keeps happening. And that doesn't mean it's the entire story. And that's a large part of what we've been talking about all season long. And understanding that you can change your story at any given time. I mean, it is not always easy to do that, but it is possible to make little changes like meditating every morning and improving the story that you're writing for yourself. So
And
no, go ahead.
no, I just want to say one thing because I don't want to be like, I don't want to leave people thinking like, oh my gosh, Tova's meditating every morning. She's sitting quietly in a dark room with a scented candle for 10 minutes.
It's
What
May. You are definitely not doing that.
No, no. What I'm actually doing is I am walking my dog every morning, which he has to be walked. So I'm habit stacking,
Yep.
and I am listening to a 2 to 5 minute like morning meditation while I walk him. So it's not necessarily walking meditations, but they're morning. Some days I'm picking like clarity ones, gratitude ones, whatever I need that morning. I'm listening to one. And then I, instead of going right to the political podcast, I'm then listening to a personal development book. So that is my like 15-minute around the block morning meditation. So I just say that to emphasize that you can fit things in your life the way you need to. I knew I needed to start my day differently. I'm still listening to the political podcast. I just didn't
Yeah.
want to start my day that way.
Right.
And I knew there was no way I was going to. There's also often a kid in my bed by the morning. Like there was not going to be a 10-minute quiet meditation. It's not happening right now in the season.
Yeah.
And so I needed to figure out a different way. And so I figured out something that's working and has helped me immensely. And So yeah, so I wanted to say that for people who are like, I need to do that, but I can't do that. Like you
Yeah,
can do something.
right. You can change something or add
Yeah.
something. Um, well, as you guys know, we were just talking about this. It's season 12. We are talking to all kinds of people this season about, their own stories and how they have figured out how to direct their futures and what that's going to look like for them. So, to that end, we have a wonderful guest for you guys today. Her name is Jackie Tempera. She is an award winning reporter, copywriter, and storyteller. Using her razor sharp writing, wit, and creativity, Jackie helps female leaders stand out in a world of endless options by finding the perfect words to communicate their special sauce with confidence and ease. Jackie helps her clients use their stories to set themselves apart from competition, make more money, and grow their social communities like wildfire. When she isn't working with clients, Jackie writes about sexual health, body inclusivity, reality TV stars, and astrology for Women's Health magazine. Her writing has also been featured in top publications like USA Today, Harper's Bazaar, Cosmopolitan, and Business Insider. Jackie's coverage of the Me Too movement made national news and led to changes in the legislature around sexual harassment training. In her free time, you can find her lounging on the Jersey Shore, weather permitting, traveling, practicing yoga, eating Italian food, and taking pictures of her cats. Welcome to the show, Jackie. We are so excited to talk to you. And all of those things are things I like to do as well, which is lovely for me.
Great. I'm glad. Yes, thank you for having me. And I'm so glad that you said, well, not that I'm so glad, but when you said meditated, I really thought you said medicating every morning. And I was like, I mean, good for her. You
I
know, sometimes
mean,
that's a hard decision to make, but
yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
decision
no,
was made years ago.
different vibe.
it is a different vibe, but a good one. Listen, if you need morning
Yeah, no, I'm
medication,
all for
get
it.
it. Like we are huge proponents of therapy around here. So
I know,
by
I
all
was just
means.
chuckling over here.
That's fantastic. Jackie, welcome to the show. We're so thrilled to have you. How are you today? How's your story going so far this week?
My story's been okay this week. I think the weather, you're both in Jersey too.
Yeah,
Yeah, the weather is really bumming me out. It's just been raining nonstop. But other than that, my story's going pretty good.
fantastic. So we'd like to start the show with sort of a broad scale question. And we really want to get a sense from you of what your journey has looked like and sort of, where did it start and where is it now? And if you kind of plotted that out along the way, or if you just sort of happened to, like, did you create a vision for your future when you were 8, when you were 18, when you were 25? What has that looked like for you?
Yeah, so I love that question. And I think I had a really specific vision for myself from a really young age. So I'm someone that always has loved writing. I was like scribbling on in coloring books, like at the backstage of my dance recitals. Like I was just always writing a little note to myself, whatever, writing about what boys I liked, things like that. Really hard-hitting stuff. And I I don't even know what age, but I became obsessed with the Oprah Winfrey show in elementary school. And I always felt like I wasn't really good at anything as a little kid because I wasn't good at sports, which is kind of like the thing that you have to be good at. Not have to, but the thing that's rewarded a lot. I was a good student, but just really awful at softball and basketball and whatever else I was being thrown into at that age. So I always felt a little directionless, which sounds funny from the perspective of a 9-year-old, but it was a very old soul, I think, as a kid. So when I saw Oprah and I used to like run home and watch her show after school, I just something clicked in me and I was like, that is what I want to do. I want to interview people. She gets to go up there and, she gets to have whoever she wants come sit on her couch and she gets to talk to them and ask them whatever question she wants. And nobody's mad at her for talking too much, which, I was always like getting a lunch detention or whatever for telling somebody, oh, my shoes are from Nordstrom or whatever I was like whispering about during class. So that was me from a very little age. And I ended up doing a book report on Oprah in probably like third or fourth grade. And from reading this like random biography, I actually wish I could find it because it was like one of those like for children books about Oprah Winfrey. I learned that she was a news anchor before she started her career as a talk show host. So I was like, okay, cool. Looks like that's what I'm gonna do as well. So, I joined like the student newspaper at my middle school and high school. That was a really big part of my life. And then I went to study journalism in college. I went to Emerson College in Boston. And then I worked as a breaking news and crime reporter for many years. And while I was checking off all of these boxes that I thought were the right boxes for me, I was very, very miserable and burnt out after just a few years. I was good at reporting on crime, but it was just, I'm very sensitive and it was really, really challenging for me. And, all of my mentors when I was doing that kind of work told me, you have to separate it, you have to, put on a different hat, like pretend it's not real, all of these different things. And I just couldn't do it because it is real at the end of the day. And it's like just constantly meeting people on the worst day of their life was just really, really difficult, especially for somebody that was, 23 years old. So that led me to be very, yeah, burnt out in my mid to late 20s. And I wasn't really sure what to do because this was this lifelong goal of mine and I reached it. And then I was like, wait, like that's kind of all I planned for. And I don't like it. So yeah, I pivoted a bit. I took a job writing for an alumni magazine, and that really wasn't quite a fit for me either. And I ended up during COVID leaving that position and starting a freelance writing for several publications and also a digital marketing agency of my own. So I started taking my own clients, which thank you for reading my bio. I do like it, which I should, I wrote it. Um, and yeah, and then that gave me more freedom to write about things that maybe weren't so, not that they're not important, because I think I've said that in previous interviews before, because sometimes I can write about things that are a little goofy or not goofy. What's the word I'm looking for? Like I just wrote about the four signs that are gonna find love this summer for the every girl, right? Like it's not like earth shattering, like that's probably not changing the trajectory of people's lives, which is what I really felt like I needed to be doing as a little kid. But I think what I've learned over the intervening years is that like writing things that are fun that people enjoy reading or about like sexual health in particular, I wrote about energy orgasms recently, which was really fascinating. Maybe not something that's gonna like move the needle on legislation like some of the work that I was doing before, but it could really help like an individual person find themselves on a deeper level or maybe just like smile. And I think that I forgot that that was important as well. So that's where I'm at today. And yeah, I think I had a plan for myself and then I achieved it. And I was like, wait a second, we come up with a
I
backup plan.
yeah, I have so many follow-up questions, but
Good.
I'm
I know
gonna
I just ranted for a little, not ranted.
no, that's
I
great. That's great.
gave you
It's
all of the
yeah,
details in
that's
one
exactly
shot.
what we asked for. So that's wonderful. Tova, you can go ahead. I know you have a question too.
I do. I have so many questions. I do want to just highlight some things that you said. First of all, writing your own bio is really hard.
So
So
hard.
the fact that you did it and you did such a good job is fantastic. You know, we both hired people to write our bios because it is exceptionally hard to say good things about yourself
Yes.
that are said in I don't know, an appropriate way, but I'm not humble, like, and you're really proud of yourself, but it
No, it
sounds,
can feel like an exorcism. It's like very difficult. It's actually one of my signature offers is it's called Story Magic and I write people's about page for them and people really, really struggle with it
yeah.
because it's hard to know what's interesting about yourself without somebody reflecting it back to you and being like, hey, that, you walking and meditating, having a meditative moment, walking your dog every morning is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know?
So yeah, so I wanted to highlight that first of all, because it is
Thank
not, that is a
you.
hard task to do. And also like, we are both, Riley and I are in the thick of a variety of things, but we're also, as she mentioned, like it's Maysember, which means like we have kids that are in like the middle of, they're in like their kiddiness, most kid-like age. Like it's like 8 to 13. We have five
Mm.
kids between the two of us. And
Oh my
so
goodness.
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of kids. And
That is a lot of kids.
and they're just, it's a lot of running around. And so I think what you learn is, especially as you're dealing with being part of the sandwich generation, and there's things that aren't in your control, and there's just like day after day, there's really big things happening in your personal life and in the whole world,
Mm.
right? That's just gone to insanity. Is that the little things of joy, like reading an article about energetic orgasms, like let's talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been talking to everyone I know about it. I'm very
yeah,
excited
like
about
let's discuss. Those are the big things. Like those are actually because there's so much out of your life that you can't control, but maybe you control, like meeting a friend for coffee and like
Yeah.
finding that joy. And
Yeah.
so I am sure I have questions. I don't know if you have one, because
I
I'm just
do.
right
I'll just jump in.
processing.
So we like to call those joy nuggets, just as a side note,
Soy nuggets is
where,
so cute.
like when you're out, because we talk a lot about the current environment and how hard it is and how we're all resisting and fighting and
Yeah.
working and managing and all these things. And yet the way in which we continue to be present in our lives is to find and create space for joy. And so these joy nuggets really are changing people's lives, right? Because you can't continue going unless you have some reason, right? And the
Totally.
reason is joy. The reason is a life that has joy in it. So I think it is important, and it's
I think it
I,
is too.
a lot of people talk to us about these things as if they're superficial, right? Or like they don't mean anything, but they do mean something. They do ultimately.
Well, don't
But
you feel like that's sort of, sorry to
no,
cut
go
you off,
ahead,
but don't you feel
please.
like that's sort of a, because I feel this way. When I was entering like the college application process, I wanted to write about fashion. And somewhere along, I don't even remember who it was that said, probably like some dumb boy in my class was like, well, that's stupid. You
Yes.
should
Mm,
write about something real. And then I was like, of course. So then I went and like traumatized myself for 10 years. And then I was like, wait, like fashion is also important. Like
right.
it's very important.
Yeah.
It's like how people present themselves. I mean, I don't actually write about fashion too often, but I think that it's sort of these like lighter quote unquote topics that women tend to gravitate more towards get kind of labeled as stupid or vapid or not important when I think that they are really important. Like it's like sexual health and pleasure. That's so important. That
Yeah.
can change somebody's life. Astrology. I really do believe in astrology. I think that it can be really illuminating to people. And also, like you were just saying, it's just like finding these moments of joy and happiness. Like, God forbid we find a little levity in a world that is really dark at times.
Yeah. Well, how do you keep going otherwise, right? Like you don't,
You don't
obviously.
know. You're being
Um,
a ball in your bed.
exactly.
Been there. It's not fun.
Yeah. I want to circle back to the burnout of it all.
Yeah.
And let's talk about what that felt like for you. And I ask people this question all the time because as women, but men too, I think this
Totally.
applies across the board. Like we're not always in touch with our inner voice, right? Like we're not always in touch with the intuition that we naturally have as humans, living on this planet. And I like for our guests to talk to people out there about what it felt like. Like, what did it feel like physically? What did it feel like emotionally? What did you like? How did you know? Was there a moment where you're like, this is not my life. I can't do this. Like what did all that feel like for you? Can you describe it?
Yeah, totally. So there's a lot going on for me. So I was, yeah, like just working at this like breakneck pace. I was trying to find, I kept, not kept, I changed jobs a few times during this, or honestly just twice. But I was thinking, oh, well, maybe it's so bad because of this place that I'm at. And the people that I was working for were like just these very old I mean, they probably weren't that old, but they seemed very old to me when I was 22 men
Sure.
who would say like insane things to me all the time and were bullying me basically. And I was always somebody that like advocated for myself and got me in trouble a lot at work. So I think that I was like entered it and I was like, I'm gonna be a star and I'm gonna be the best person here and I am gonna work late and come in early and I'm gonna write every single story. And then after, being really just like beaten down emotionally by it's really not funny. I laugh because that's what I do, but or else I'd cry, I guess. But it is really difficult to keep like getting up and being like, oh, I want to find something interesting to write about, or I want to like go after this with the same like intensity and excitement. And like all of this is happening. And then in my own personal life, I experienced like a major trauma. So I was sexually assaulted during all of this. So, or someone sexually assaulted me. I don't like to say I was because it really had nothing to do with it. Um, so that happened, and here I am writing about this for work, right? Like that was kind of like my niche. I like was really good at speaking with women and getting them to open up and feel comfortable. And then it landed in my lap. And I was like that's not what happened, like surely like I'm confusing it or I'm misremembering or this and that. And I think that I came to a point where I was no longer interested in work and I was making a lot of mistakes. And, of course, people make mistakes at work, but I didn't care. I would get in, not in trouble, but people like my editors were kind of asking me, like, like, what's going on with you? And I just like kept pushing, pushing, pushing. And this whole like bringing this Me Too story happened maybe like 3 weeks after um someone assaulted me. So I was just like dissociated and just plowing forward. And then I think what happened to me, combination of work and and this other personal trauma, is that I just kept getting really sick too. So first I, got the flu like 3 different times in 1 year. And it was just like, how can one person get the flu so many times? And then one of my editors like asked me, he was like, do you change your toothbrush between illnesses? And I was like, yes, like I'm not disgusting, like, but my immune system was lowered. So that was the first thing so the first thing I noticed, I think, was that I had a real lack of interest in work and it was really difficult for me to motivate to get there. And I was kind of like calling out sick because I was sick and also because I just mentally was not well enough to come into work. And then I started like just I always drank a lot of coffee, but just like so much caffeine to keep going every day. And then I started smoking cigarettes and I was like, weird thing for you to do and and like your mid 20s, like we all know this is bad for you.
Right.
And it was just like all of these different things that I was trying to like, okay, well, I don't have any energy, so like here's a thing that I know is going to like boost me up for a little bit. And then eventually all of those things stopped working too. And then I just kept getting really, really sick. And I had like a weird issue where I like lost hearing in one of my ears for a month. And it was just like all of these like really unexplained things to the point where I was like, okay, we got to slow down and we have to like it was one of those things where like I was content to keep going ahead and my body was like I mean that classic book like the body keeps the score like my
Yep.
body was like hey girl like we're actually shutting down like part by part if you
Yep.
could just maybe like take to the bed for a little bit here um and that's really, I mean, it really like I was not able to continue on and I needed to talk about it. I needed to find professional help. Luckily, I was in therapy at the time, but I found like resources through a rape crisis center in Boston, the Boston Rape Crisis Center, which was super helpful for me. And I found community there and I was able to pull myself out of it. But I think that there were so many, yeah, like feelings and signs that have forced me to seek that help. And it's not easy to do.
Yeah, it is not easy to do. And it is amazing how your body at some point will make the decision for you.
Yeah, I
Right.
remember like now I can like look back at it and I kind of can find a little bit of the humor in it because I
Sure.
was like it's like a cartoon character like running around in circles and then finally like getting, like kind of the anvil dropped on me, like you need to like rest. And it's so interesting to me because I never thought that I thought I was unstoppable, you know?
Yeah, well, and especially at that age,
Yeah.
you're still in the invincible stage, right? Like you're
Yeah, my
still in that
what are
like
these? My frontal lobe is
right.
not even developed.
Right. It still thinks it can like fly.
Like nothing
Um
a cigarette habit can't fix, surely.
surely this is the solution.
There we go.
I am laughing in sympathy
No,
and
it's really
solidarity. Like
it's quite funny.
I've been there in
Mhm.
so many ways. Tova, I keep asking questions, but I'm sure you have
Well,
questions.
I was going to ask about, I mean, I was going to laugh because Riley and I have to actively, I think, hold each other accountable to not, like, we've both been in the role where we can like dive back into we're just going to work and work and work. And we know
Yeah.
Yeah.
that we'll hit that like stride where we can just like, like run on less sleep and stay up really late. And we have to act like that is our not our default, but it's something that
Oh, it's my
maybe
default. I think
maybe
it
it
is.
is.
I mean, I'll
It
own
might
It
that.
can
be
be
it
mine
might be
too.
mine too. I don't know, but between law school and then practicing, like we just know like it's there. And like
Yeah.
when we are struggling to get things done, we're like, oh, we could just do it. We know once we get enough lack of sleep, it's gonna kick in
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then we can go.
It's like a
And
runner's high.
yeah,
Yeah.
and exactly. And we're like, no, we have learned this is not good for us. We have
Right.
had the
Yeah.
flus. We have had the strep throats, like repeated. I mean, there was a winter for me where I would just call the doctor and be like, I have strep throat again. They're like, how do you know? I can tell the sort. I can tell it.
It's
Like,
like
I can
I've
tell.
lived in this body before.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do
I
you mean?
just
How
had
can I
it
tell?
like 6 weeks ago. I can
Mhm.
tell this is what it
Yeah,
is.
I still have the prescription in my
Right.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, should I just continue or?
Yeah, exactly. And so I guess my question for you is because you talked about, and we've talked about before, how Oprah was like this guide for us.
Mhm.
But at the time, she wasn't talking about rest.
No.
She didn't talk about rest until, I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, when she started to do her, what it was, Super Soul Sunday.
Yeah.
Say
Yeah.
like as
Yeah.
if I don't have it memorized. Right?
Yeah. You're like,
What was it again?
is that what it's
Would
called,
you like me to sing
baby?
the theme song or?
So how did you, like, I know your body said, okay, we're
Mhm.
stopping,
Yeah, which I
but
was very frustrated by. I was just
yes. So how did your mind handle that? And not to
not
imply that
well.
the mind and body are different because they're the same, but like, how did you mentally handle that and then get past it, but like in a healthy way?
Yeah, I think I don't even know how I did it, to be completely honest with you. I think a lot of it was that I was young and I had more, um, I don't know if I had more energy or if I was just like very scared and was like, I'm just gonna keep doing exactly what I've been doing. But I think that the therapy really helped me. So I was, like I said, I have always been somebody that like has an anxious brain and like feels anxiety, right? And then I was in a career that really like added fuel to the fire. And so I think that dealing with my individual therapist, who is wonderful, and I still see the same person that I was seeing at that time, was really helpful, but only to a point because I didn't know any other survivors at that time. Like, not personally. I knew people through work. I was interviewing other survivors, which was really challenging because I just wanted to be like, yes, I know what you're talking about because like I'm experiencing this too, but there's like a level of professionalism. And also I wasn't really admitting it to myself. So it was like, and it's not about me if I'm interviewing someone for work, like what I'm gonna then bring my own stuff to them. It just like wasn't an appropriate setting. So I think I was really struggling with that. And I think nobody really knew what to say to me because I think it's difficult to know how to comfort someone that's gone through something like this or any number of traumatic events. I mean, like I think with grief or I mean, I know I had friends that struggled with eating disorders at that time. Like these things are all really isolating. I think it's really important to find communities of other, in my case, women who had been through the same thing. So I found this group therapy at BARC, the Boston Area Rape Crisis Center. And I remember going to my first meeting there, and I was like, really, I just had a really bad attitude about the whole thing. And I think that was my way of just like, I don't know, dealing with it. Was like, oh, I don't need this. Like, I'm too tough, whatever. I don't have feelings. Had a lot of feelings. And then I went into this room and it was these 10 women, and we had like a checklist in front of us, like they left it on our seat of all of these different symptoms that you might be experiencing after an assault. And I was like looking at it's like chronic headaches, fatigue, like being fearful to leave the house, afraid you're gonna be hit by a car, like irrational fear of like there's like just a lot of like really specific things that I had been dealing with. And I was like, how do they know all of this? And then I'm like looking around the room and everybody is like angrily kind of like checking off these symptoms, like, yeah, that's happening to me too. And I think it was that environment in that moment that I was like, oh, okay, like the mind kind of caught up to what the body was experiencing. Is like, oh, like I need to really treat myself with a lot of tenderness right now and like really kind of baby myself. And I think that was really challenging for me as somebody that was like very career focused and like took all of my value and self-worth came from how I was doing at work. And that was very much how I was as a kid too, is like I was a straight A student. I was the editor of the newspaper. So all of these, boxes were checked. But at this point, like, even though the boxes were checked, I was not happy and I was not okay. So I think that finding that community, and again, like I think we talked about even with like the bio writing, like having somebody mirror back to you, like, hey, like I actually see you as like a very strong person, or all of these different things when I didn't feel that way about myself was really key. And I'm still in touch with some of those women today. And I actually, this was like a huge moment for me. I got to write about healing from sexual trauma for women's health. And it was my first piece that actually went in the physical magazine. So I write a lot for the online, but having it like be in print was really cool. And I got to interview two of the leaders of that group. So that was amazing because you lose touch with them because it's kind of like, it's not anonymous, but you're not like texting one another. It's kind of like, okay, we're all meeting in this like old building in Cambridge, Massachusetts at this time every week. Like we don't know each other's last names, like that kind of thing. So I imagine it's kind of like similar to like a AA thing, although I haven't particularly experienced that myself. So that was really special. And I think hearing from them again, like, hey, like we remember you as this way from that time. And I always think like I was just like a ghost kind of wandering around too.
Yeah, the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves are
Mhm.
so
Mean.
well, they're mean and they're like full of misperceptions and
Yeah.
full of fantasy, really. Like, we write stories in our minds about who we are, how we are, and believe that they're the truth, like the truth, as if there is a single
Yeah,
truth
right.
about who we are. And that is so debilitating sometimes. We need to take a quick break. When so we'll do that, but when we come back, I want to talk to you about kind of from that point forward, right?
Yeah.
Of like, what have you done? Therapy, obviously, and group therapy is amazing. And I'm going to let you think about it for a second, but like, what are you doing in your life that's helping you write the next chapters and
Yeah.
have a healthy, happy future? So let's take a quick break, everyone, and we will be right back. Well, hey there, dream chaser. Are you ready to make the next 12 months of your life unforgettable? Introducing the Year of You, a groundbreaking new goal system group that's about to redefine the way we approach personal growth. Join us with a community of like-minded individuals committed to unlocking their full potential. With expert guidance, personalized strategies, kind-hearted accountability, and a supportive network, the Year of You is more than just a goal-setting group. It's a whole movement. Don't just dream about it, achieve it. Click in the link in our show notes or go ahead and visit us at goboldlyinitiative.com/year of you to learn more today. Let's embark on a transformative journey together towards becoming the best versions we can be. The year of you, where your goals become reality. Welcome back to the show. So before the break, I want to talk about sort of more present moment for you. And I want to understand, what are you doing like every day or weekly or whatever, what are your habits that are helping you feel good about yourself, understand where your self-worth lies, right? Like not attaching it necessarily to achievement, which we all
Yes.
have gone through, especially our generation.
True.
And how are you doing that? Like, what is happening? What habits do you have? What are you doing in your life to make that transition?
Great question. So I think there's a lot of things that I do. So I think first of all, like allowing myself to be really into pop culture and enjoy the like unabashed about it, because I think before it was like I have to be this like serious person. I have to like listen to it. Like you, Tova, you were talking about political podcasts. I love them, but I also love really goofy stuff too. So allowing myself to like own those hobbies and interests of mine without shame has been really transformational for me. On like a more, like tactile, like habit wise, I think surprise journaling is really important to me. I think that that's the place where I meet myself the most the deepest, is like I can't really run from how I'm feeling when it's literally written out on the page in front of me, and that's super helpful. I meditate a lot as well. And I did a yoga teacher training 2 years ago now, and I teach yoga. Right now I'm teaching a lot. It's probably going to shift a little bit for the next couple of months, but finding yoga was really, really pivotal for me. Something I always liked, and I would, catch a yoga class here and there, and I'd get into a phase where I was going a lot, and then I'd kind of step away from it. But since doing that training, that like really unlocked, like, oh, this always actually makes me feel better. And finding, again, like communities within the yoga studios that either I take or teach at, has been really pivotal. So I practice yoga every day in some capacity. Like most days, I will go to a studio and take or teach a class, or both, which is kind of my preference, because then I can like, have my little, I joke with my students that it's like my comedy hour. My yoga class is like you're held hostage. You have to do my poses, listen to my music and my jokes. But I think that there's a beauty in that, because I've made a lot of really great connections and friendships through teaching, but also through being part of these communities in a more consistent way, like showing up to the same classes every week and really getting to know it's mostly, the studios I teach at just happen to be mostly women, which is kind of my preference. I think I just really love to be around women. Um, so that's been really important to me too.
Um, I was like listening to everything you did about yoga and my mind went blank. I'm trying to think. I had a question a couple minutes ago.
Okay.
But I've been thinking a lot about words
Mm,
because you are a writer. And I was thinking about what you were saying, Riley, about how, mean we can be to ourselves. And so I was just wondering if there are certain words, and I just said one because we try not to use the word just because it like
mm,
minimizes the impact of what we're saying. Are there certain words that you notice either when speaking to yourself or even in your writing that you try not to use because
interesting.
either they minimize the impact or they, I don't know, they're inherently connected to something that is something that we don't like. I'm thinking of this, and this is a callback to the beginning of our conversation, but talking about you liking fashion and
Hmm.
wanting to write about that. But like women buy more books than
Yes.
men by a astronomical
I'm
amount.
sure. I don't even know that
Um,
statistic, but that makes sense to me.
and yet we still, maybe a little less now, call it like chick lit. And it's like, no,
Right.
it's the lit that keeps the bookstores open, my
No,
friends.
literally.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
let's just call it books, okay?
That's
So,
interesting.
like, are there any words? And if not, that's fine. But I was just wondering if there anything you try to stay away from, whether it's in your journaling or if there are there certain phrases in your journaling that you notice, like, oh, I need to like dig in this a little deeper because I can see that this is like a red flag for me, or if there's something that
Yeah.
you're writing you avoid.
I think just is such an interesting one because that's something I use a lot. And I was actually I just got a new job, which is really exciting. So on top of all of the other things, that's fitting in somehow too. But when I had to do a writing test for that, and I, of course, had my mom read it over for me, and she kept saying that about just like it takes away some of the punch of it. So that's funny that you just mentioned that as well. But I think it's less, I can't think of like a particular word right now, but I think I am very intentional about the phrasing of things. So even earlier when I said I was assaulted, it makes it feel like it like fell out of the sky and I was like whatever. Like, no, like somebody else made that decision. So I like to put the blame on that person. I say somebody assaulted me. Even when I talk about anxiety, I think for many, many years, I would say I'm anxious and I'm depressed. I'm anxious and I'm depressed. And would you know it? I felt anxious and depressed because that's constantly what I was telling everyone, what I was telling myself. Now I say I have anxious thoughts. I experience anxiety, I run anxious. So there's just like different ways of phrasing it. And I think I play around with that a lot. As far as like just being really intentional with what I'm saying about myself. Because the more you say something, the more that it not only like like it sounds real, it feels real to
Hmm.
you. Like, so if I'm saying I'm depressed all the time, like I'm not gonna wake up like a ray of sunshine because that's the identity that I've chosen for myself. So I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling those feelings, but that's something that I've like shifted in the last couple of years and I've noticed a big difference. And in my yoga classes, I think I try to be super, super intentional with language around yeah, like bodies and modifications. Like I think I find it really irritating. I'm not sure if both of you practice yoga. Yeah, okay, cool. So you know what I'm talking about. So I find it annoying when places are like, "Oh, if you need to modify." It's like, "Well, what if I just want to?" Like what if I want to take this easier today? So I really am very careful around how I phrase things in that way. I'll be like, uh, you know, for an example, like we could step back to plank, or we can drop the knees and hold to the plank that way. And we're still using all of our muscles and we're still being really strong and all of these different things. I hate the phrasing of like sculpting. You will never catch me saying something like that, or like de-bloating, like things like that. I avoid in my conversation of yoga and also in my writing. Like I'm never gonna say something like that because I think it's bullshit, honestly. Um, and I think I like, which I found fun in yoga, is just finding different ways to say like, or you can do this, or like one of my students was making or teasing me last week because I said we were in half moon pose, so like balancing on like one hand and one foot. And I was like, if it feels exciting to you, you can grab for your back foot. But if it doesn't feel exciting, you don't have to. And she was like, you know what? It does feel exciting to me today. And I was like, well, there's only so many times I can say, if you like, you can reach and
Yeah,
do this.
yeah.
So I try and mix it up like that and just like really try and empower people, especially in like a fitness setting. I also teach bar and Pilates. And I think a lot of people can come in there and be like, I need a flat stomach and I need this and that. And it's like, you're never going to hear me talk about that in my class. I'm going to tell you about engaging your muscles. I'm going to tell you to go slow, but I'm never going to tell you to like, you're making something easier or harder. I think I call it a challenge, like choose your own challenge, things like that.
I
Um,
think. Oh, go
I was
ahead,
just,
Tip.
I'll let you ask a question. I just want to thank you and tell you how much it matters. I go to a Hotworks gym, and so the instructors are on
Hmm.
the TV. But I have
Interesting.
noticed recently, yeah, we can. I love it. It's crazy.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, but the instructors are on TV, but they always have three women, and I've noticed in this new update round of videos that they have the person doing the modifications wearing there's in certain ones they have like weights you can put on your wrists. Like it's
Hmm.
not just yoga, it's like a variety of things.
Yeah.
And I love that the modifier this round is the one with the weights
Yeah.
because like they're modifying the moves because maybe because of flexibility or whatever just because sometimes I'm modifying but I
Yeah.
also always have the weights like it doesn't mean and I
It
love
doesn't
it
make you
so
less strong. It just means
yeah
maybe that feels more comfortable for you, or maybe
so
your anatomy is set up in such a way that like it feels better to have your knees on the ground in a plank.
yeah
Like,
So I will let you ask your question. I just wanted to say your word choice, it matters so much. It's so
Yeah.
impactful to the people in your classes, I'm
yeah,
sure.
because I've been there and I'm like, oh, like, I don't know. There's just like something disempowering about like, oh, or if you want to make it easier, you can do this. And
It's,
it's like, okay, well, who's going to choose that option now and not feel like a
Right.
piece of shit, you know?
Well, yeah, it feels
If you
patronizing
have
at
to.
best. Yeah. If you're a quitter, go
Yeah.
ahead and quit.
No,
Um,
literally, that's what it sounds like
but
though.
yeah, it's
Inside.
like Jane Fonda in the 1980s, like
Yeah.
dancing
And
around
there's
in
a
her light
space for
crown.
that, right? Like for tough love, but
Yes.
I don't think it's yoga.
No, it is not yoga. It's not even, I don't think it is
Relax.
not yoga. Um, I want to talk about something you said, and it's a little off topic, but you were talking about attachment to feelings. And I think
Hmm.
this is really important for people to hear. And I want to highlight it because I want people to get this so much, especially my kids, if at all possible. Um,
Listen up, kids.
yeah, like tune in, kids. Um, you are not your feelings. Like you
Right.
are not made up of your feelings. And so I think it's very hard in our society for people and women particularly, but really for men, they like to pretend like it's not. But it really is hard for everybody.
I know it's hard for men too, and
Yeah,
I think it's just harder to share because there's
sympathize.
so much it is yeah that too but I think it's harder for them to share because there's so much push against them that they're not supposed to feel this way and like
Right.
it's very girly or it's feminine to have an emotion. It's like no, like your emotions just coming out like ass backwards with you like throwing things at the wall because you
Right.
don't know how to take a deep breath. Like I'm
Right.
sorry.
Yes. Um, I did want to highlight that though, because I think it's really important for people to recognize that, you know, you can have an emotion, you can
Mhm.
be feeling a feeling, and that's all valid and important. And we have to process those things, but we don't have to become the feeling. We don't have
Yeah.
to become the emotion. We don't have to hold on to it. And so when you're talking about word choices and things, it rolls into that because as you're saying, if you're like, well, I'm anxious, you're no, you have anxious
Yeah, have an
feelings.
anxious feeling.
And then tomorrow you might not have that anxious feeling,
Yeah, then
right?
tomorrow maybe I don't feel anxious, and
If
that's
we
fine.
turn it into our identity, it's much harder to let go of. And it's much harder to process as a thing that we are able and allowed to let go of, right?
Yeah, and I
Um,
think that when I was younger, not that I thought it was cool to have a mental illness, because I definitely didn't feel that way, but I think it made me feel like that I was like very unique, and I was like, oh, maybe this like tortured artist, and like I couldn't, like obviously every writer is depressed and this and that, and it's like, I'll get over it. Like not being depressed, like that's very serious. Like,
yeah,
like I've been medicated for it before, loved it. But it's like you don't have to cling on to that. Like that's not like a badge of honor. It's actually like something that you can seek help for. If
yeah,
and like there's lots of different ways. And I'm not trying to minimize it and say like you just if you stop saying you feel depressed, you're gonna stop feeling that way because that's definitely not true for a lot of situations and people. But I think, like you said, if we keep identifying us as that, if I'm like, I'm a writer and also I'm anxious and depressed, which was kind of how I was identifying myself for a bit. Um, like those things are going to continue to be true, and it's going to
Yeah.
be harder to drop them or kind of heal from them because it's feels like it's part of you, and what if that part of you goes away? What else is going to change about you?
Well, yeah, there's safety in the identification, and it's false safety.
Yeah,
It's a falsehood, but it
it's just made
still
up.
exists, and we
Mhm.
still naturally, our brains naturally try to protect us by identifying in that way. And so the more that we can work against that, and it takes, it takes actual work. Like you have to think
Totally.
about it, you have to acknowledge it's happening. You got to probably go to therapy. Like there's a lot of work that goes into getting through that process and then continuing, because it's not like it goes away. Like I'm
No.
46. I still have these moments in my mind where I'm like, okay, I don't have to be rage. I can just be like having a ragey thought and then let it
Yeah, and I
go.
think like so I'm since you have children, I'm sure you've seen Inside Out, right?
I was gonna say
Mhm.
I was just about to say it's
Yeah,
one of
like
those
Yeah.
I
Inside
feel
Out
like
movies
that
really
Yeah.
help.
really helped me a lot. I was like, oh, like, and it's like, this is all therapy stuff. Like if you've been to therapy, like perhaps you've heard of like parts work, where you like, and I've done this in therapy before. I don't know if you all have, but it's like you kind of label these emotions in your head, and your inner critic is, you give them a name or sort of like an identity, so that when you're having those feelings, you can be like, oh, that's just like Samantha, she's just being a bitch again,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it's helpful, I found. It's silly at first. You feel like very weird, but it does help to like separate it out and like, yeah, like remove that from your identity and make it like a kind of like a team. I
Yeah.
had a teacher that explained it as like the dinner table, and like all of those different parts were there, and thinking about, yeah, like who they were and what they showed up like and what they wore and all of these different things. And I think that really helped me a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We need to take another quick break. So why don't we do that? And when we come back, we can talk about what your plans are for the future. So we will
Yes.
be right back, everyone.
Hey, pod friends, it's us again. Looking for a place to collaborate, an opportunity to share your knowledge? Have you been working so hard on a podcast, book, course, product, or retreat? Do you have insights that could light up our podcast? Well, we want to hear from you. We would love to support you in all that you are and do. Join us at Go Boldly Initiative, where we celebrate diverse perspectives and share the wisdom of our incredible community. Whether you're an expert, a hobbyist, or simply love learning, we invite you to reach out with your ideas. Visit our website at goboldlyinitiative.com/podcast guests to pitch the show, or shoot us an email at hello@goboldlyinitiative.com to talk all things collaboration, advertising, and affiliation opportunities. Become part of our growing family. Let's make learning an adventure together.
Okay, welcome back to the show. So before the break, I took us on a little tangent, and I'm going to circle us back. We would love to hear from you about, what impact you're hoping to create with your life. What is your like in 5 years, in 20 years, however you measure things. What do you hope to achieve? What do you hope to create? And is it like, I hate the word achieve. I mean more like, what feeling would you like to have in 5 years?
Oh, in 5 years, that's a great question. So in 5 years, I will be 37. Um, I hope I have a family. I really want to be a mom. Not today, not tomorrow, maybe not like for another couple of years, but that's something that's really important to me. Um, I was gonna say that's boring, but it's not boring. It's very crucial. That's like
There,
my
yeah.
patriarchal conditioning saying like, "Ugh." But yeah, that's something that I hope that I have. I hope I have like a strong bond with my child. That sounds weird to say, but that's something that's really important. I think on a larger scale, I've been writing a book for a really long time. I hope that in 5 years I'm finished with it. Although who knows, these things take a long time. And I think that that's something that I'm really stepping into. And I mentioned a few times that I'm starting a new job. which is different because the last several years I have again taken this identity on of like I work for myself and then nobody can take that away from me and it's so freeing and this and that and it's like no, like I'm exhausted. I'm so tired and I'm so I love the clients that I have right now, and I'm gonna maintain those. But I am really looking forward to, I'm gonna be starting working for people full time, which is really cool. And honestly, like kind of a childhood dream. I used to read their magazine constantly. And I think that that's just a really exciting way for me to support myself in a financial way that's not like dependent on me banging down everyone's door to get them to purchase these offers because I think what's been happening for me, and this is like all very fresh and I'm still kind of figuring out how I feel about it, but I think while I have enjoyed this season of entrepreneurial Jackie, and she's gonna still be with us and we're still doing all of my offers, I think this is gonna really allow me the freedom to focus on what I love. And what I love is helping women to share their stories in a more formal way. So helping people like write keynote speeches, write articles, and just like really, like I said, I do this story magic work that is really, really special to me. And it's a 2 hour interview with people, which sounds insane to most people that I pitch it to. But what we do is we talk for 2 hours. I have like a list of questions and I yeah, like kind of guide them to themselves, like to the most interesting parts of themselves. And I've really, really enjoyed doing that. And I think that so much of the of being an entrepreneur is you know, you need to also support yourself. So it's taking things that don't always feel aligned. So I'm really looking forward to this next season of my life where my job is a source of financial freedom and excitement and challenge. And then I can do all of these other things that I've been doing, like when I want to, with the people that I want to, and like finding that again. So that was a very, I think I have given long-winded answers to every single question you've asked me, but that's kind of my thing. So I'm really looking forward to just the freedom to, yeah, like express myself in a more like unstructured way, honestly, of just like being like, hey, I wrote this essay and now I want to share it, so I'm going to, instead of constantly being like, but how is it going to make me money? And
Right.
you know, I have to get 4 million people to sign up for my Substack so that can support me and just all of this financial stress because we do live in a world where we need money, unfortunately. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think I also did The Moth. Are you familiar with that?
I am, yeah.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
did The Moth for the first time in April, and I'm addicted to it. And for those who have not heard of The Moth, it's like a storytelling competition, and it is you like put your name in a hat and they pull out your name like randomly, and you get up on the stage and you tell a story for 5 minutes with no notes. Terrifying, also really fun. So I think I'm leaning more into that, and like that's what really excites me, and kind of back to that like Oprah Winfrey energy, man. Like I'm gonna be telling stories and doing all sorts of fun things, and stressing a lot less. That's what I see
Right.
for myself.
Amazing. I love all of that. Um, quick response time, Riley. Do you have any more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have quick response questions. And so basically we get to ask you questions and you answer them. We don't get to ask any follow-ups. So they're just quick answers and hopefully we resist the desire to ask the follow-ups.
Well, I'll work on the quick answer part.
It's hard for everyone.
Yeah.
All three of us, this is a struggle for everything here. So, all right. And they're a little more, I guess, lighthearted, maybe. I don't know.
Cool. My
All right.
cat is entering the screen, perhaps.
Yay.
Hi, sir.
So the first question is, what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Oh, I'm such a Bravo girl. I love it. Like nothing excites me more than a bunch of middle-aged rich ladies screaming at each other, and I don't know why, but that's my thing. Those are
What's
my girls.
What's one thing on your bucket list that you haven't done yet?
Publish my book.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Mm, pizza.
If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be?
That one stumped me. You know what? This is so random, but I would really like to be a gymnast. Like to be able to do a flip would be so cool. That's so random, but it really excites me.
It's
I've
fantastic.
been learning to do a handstand for like the last 6 months in yoga, and I just want to flip.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Um, Silly, strong, and determined.
I love it. We are so grateful you came on the show. We really enjoyed talking to you. I feel like I could talk to you for a very long time. 2 hours does not sound crazy for an interview to me.
Well, you know what? You can.
Yeah, that might be happening. That might be in our future. Um, Jackie, where can people find you if they want to follow along with your story or get in touch with you or any of those things?
All right. So I spend a lot of time on Instagram. So that is the number one place to follow me. That's where I probably share the most about what's going on with me. And my Instagram is Jack Temp, JackTemp. Don't know why I came up with it when I was like 17 and just have rolled with it. And now it's the name of my business, which is funny. But that's a great place. I have a website, JackieTempera.com. I have a new podcast called Yappy Hour with 2 of my friends, Etta and Christina, where we cover what we can't shut up about every week. And it's been a lot of fun to record. So it's only on Spotify right now, but I am going to figure out how to make it other places. We're only in our 3rd episode. And I am on TikTok and Facebook. I could not tell you my TikTok handle, but I'm sure you can find me. It's some variation of my name.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we will share all of that in our show notes and on our socials. We are just really thrilled to have talked to you. You have such great energy and it's been a delight.
Oh, thank you. Right back at you, gals. It was really
Yeah.
fun to chat.
Yeah. So with that, everyone, we're going to wrap up for today. We will be back next week with another episode talking all about how you can write your own story. Until then, my latest has been telling you all to set boundaries. I'm also going to say find some joy nuggets. They're out
Yes.
there. Bye, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening to We Go Boldly podcast. We know you're busy and we love spending time with you.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, let us know. Head to Apple Podcasts right now to rate and review our show. While you're there, be sure to click that subscribe button.
Want more us time? Follow us on all the socials at Go Boldly Together.
Want even more us time? As in all the coaching pizzazz. Find us at goboldlyinitiative.com for all the info.
We will be back with more excitement, research, and deep thoughts next week.
Until then, keep on being the bold, brave, amazing people we know you already are.
The Power Moms Network, empowering moms to lift the world.